Greetings. This is Justin Allen with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today we'll be talking to Terry, who is a family nurse practitioner. Currently, he works at a hospital-based urgent care full-time. Currently, he is in the startup phase of opening a men's health clinic. He has the basic setup, but he is needing assistance with understanding the operational back end of the practice, the patient flow of a practice, clearing up some regulatory considerations, and needing to know when the time is to pull the trigger on finally opening. Hey, Terry, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, no, thanks for hopping on here. So let's go ahead and just jump into this. So how long have you been a nurse practitioner for, and what kind of things have you been doing?
Yeah, thanks. I've been a nurse practitioner since 2015, so about coming on 9 years now. And I first started out a year in primary care and decided didn't want to do that very long, and did some skilled nursing facility rounding down in California, and then went into sleep medicine for a few years actually. Then I went from that and then to the urgent care system that I'm in now, and I've been here for 4 years. I've been the medical director for 2 years and a full-time nurse practitioner, seeing wound to tomb, as they say, for 4 years total.
Yeah. Okay. So you're working urgent care right now. How long have you been in that setting?
Yeah, I've been almost 4 years now.
4 years, right? Okay. Are you enjoying it, or?
Yeah, it's challenging. It's definitely getting busier. This is a really busy area. It's a really, it's coastal, so it gets a lot in the summer. It really blows up. During the holidays, it blows up with tourists. So it definitely stays really, really busy. And we have 3 different urgent cares along the coastline, so it's definitely challenging for sure. It's kind of funny. I was the only full-time employee, except for some locums, for the longest time, because most people were part-time, because it's pretty hard work.
Yeah, man, urgent care is, it's tough work.
Yeah.
How many, How many patients do you see on, typically on a busy day?
Yeah, on a busy day, 35 by myself with 1 MA, for example. So
yeah.
1 MA. So that's if there's 2, we can get through a little bit easier or more. Sometimes we have a flow provider that helps out 4 hours in each clinic.
Gotcha. Okay, man. The urgent care I was working at, it was routine during flu season to be 70 or 80 by yourself. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. I hear numbers like that. We can work people up quite a bit too. We don't do CT scan, but we can do imaging and blood work, and we can get an ultrasound sometimes and things like that. So we keep people sometimes for a couple hours.
Oh, cool. So you can do pretty much some very kind of basic ER workups, really.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So I assume you are kind of just getting sick working for other people.
Yeah, that's after my eyes got opened, to some of this stuff. I had a friend who has now 3 aesthetics practices, brick-and-mortar. And she told me about your website and podcasts and things probably 2 years ago. And so, I wrote her a while back. I was like, what's that guy's name and website again? So then I just kind of snowballed from there to kind of getting excited and getting motivated to try something on my own.
Yeah. Cool. Well, good for you. You saw the light. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's the only way to practice, man. It really is. I couldn't imagine working for someone else, or especially in urgent care, ever again. I won't. I just won't.
Yeah, I hopefully will be in that place someday. I do see the like ceiling, I mean, I make pretty good money and stuff like that for urgent care for this area. And it's challenging and also rewarding, but I definitely want to go out on my own. I kind of, my whole family are a bunch of entrepreneurs, I guess. So
Okay.
I knew eventually I would probably go this way.
Yeah. It's in your blood. It's interesting that you mentioned the ceiling thing. Yeah. I mean, there is a obvious career ceiling being a nurse practitioner. There's
you can't really do a whole lot. You don't have a lot to say. Like I'm 44 going on 45, and in 10 years, I'm still going to be told what to do, like by the administration and stuff. And, they're fine working with them, but I'm not going to be able to have a seat at the table.
Right, exactly. What else can you do? You just see patients, basically. You might move into an administrative position possibly at some point, but I mean, still, how much further can you really go, Yeah, without being like, becoming some sort of really high-end CEO or something, just killing yourself. That doesn't sound fun.
No.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. All right, so you want to start your own practice. So it sounds like you want to open up a men's health clinic, yeah?
After, listening to all your podcasts and doing some research and kind of doing some market research around here and seeing what there is and isn't, and there is not very much. There's a lot of opportunity here. I thought that that'd be a good entrance, and start since after I bought your course, listening to that and kind of studying those slides and things 3 or 4 times at least by now, probably more. Yeah. I'm like, I think I can get a grasp of this. I think it's something I could do.
Dude, if you can do urgent care, you can do men's health.
Okay, I hope so. Yeah, there's definitely. I'm like, how do you say that name? Like, what is that?
It's men's health is so easy. It's one of the easier niches. Weight loss is pretty easy too. Like, this stuff isn't rocket science,
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if you got a good basic clinical sense to you, good basic foundations. I mean, you obviously know how to read blood work. You obviously know how to work a patient up. Like, you got this stuff down. Like, you'll move into men's health and it'll just click. I mean, this should not be a problem for you at all. Okay. I found working up an abdominal pain in the ER to be more complex than working up a men's health patient I've ever worked up. Yeah, not much to it. So you should be good there. So, okay, so you took the course, you got the basic understanding of everything. So I believe you mentioned that you kind of just have the basic setup. So tell me what you have set up at this point.
Yeah, sure thing. So in order of also kind of what you recommend, I'm in Oregon, I am an independent, practitioner. I can open up a business without any sort of collaboration or agreement. So that makes it a little bit easier and more affordable. I have created the LLC and the name. I have gotten the federal EIN number. I have a graphic designer working on the logo, which is pretty much done. And the website is about 3/4 done as well. So that's been fun. And I went ahead and went with somebody to help me with that. Your course says, make your own. And sometimes I listen to your podcast and it says, have somebody help you with it. So I went ahead and had somebody help me with it because I have a little bit of funds saved up. Yeah. And I've got the EMR. I'm going with OptiMantra. And I got the online business checking account and a business credit card account. I've been looking at rental spaces, several. I have some questions about that for you. Okay. And I'm connected with labs and the pharmaceuticals right now, still doing all the paperwork with that.
Okay. So you have the basic structure set up, it sounds like the legal structure, like everything is here. It's just now taking some action and just getting some balls rolling and getting going, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me understand this real quick, though. So you are going to open this up in Oregon?
Yes, I plan to open in Oregon. I'm right on the border with Washington. I'm getting my license for Washington as well for like virtual follow-ups, for example. I mean, I can see it from my kitchen. It's across the river. So,
sure, why not?
Yeah, and it really opens up because people come here for shopping. Like for Costco and stuff. Like it's like they live here. They're just kind of part of the same town. So,
right,
yeah.
There's no sales tax, right?
Oh, yeah, you got that right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, dude. Like
people come.
Yeah, like when you live on a bordering state like that, because I don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Washington doesn't have income tax. So what you want to do is you want to live in Washington on the border, so for no income tax, and just drive to Oregon to buy stuff.
If people do that, they totally do that. That's exactly
for sure.
You nailed it. I'm surprised you know all that. Yeah, that's correct.
yeah, man. It's the great thing about living on a border state like that. Like you're basically paying no taxes. Like
it's crazy. Yeah, they save a ton.
Save a ton. That saves you a lot of money. But okay, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Get the open it up in Oregon so you have a license there, and then get another license in Washington too, because why not? It's right there.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's a good idea, and that's going to take you a whole whopping 30 days to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Washington's pretty quick with processing licenses, if I remember correctly. So yeah, you should be pretty good there. Okay, so you got a website, you got that going, you have all of that. So what's your budget like here? You said you had a little bit of money saved up.
Yeah, so I wrote you an email that saying like how I was, trying to think of a way to have some money to make this happen. And so I, with my wife, I said, I read a book. It's called it's an old book, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yep.
And it talks about, saving 10%, just 10%, live on 90%. Anybody can save 10%,
Yep.
No matter what you make, you don't have to be poor. So kind of doing that for about, 7-8 months, like saving 10%, I'll drop it into an account. Like it's exactly like 253.65, like exactly every time. So I did that, and I've saved now over 10K on that. So I got 10,000 to invest, in this and myself, and, with my wife's permission. And I got some more funds than that if needed. I can dip into another 5 or 10 if I have to too.
Okay. So anyone listening to this who is thinking about taking out a loan to start a business, don't do it. Like just stay disciplined, save up 10 to 20% a month. And in 3 to 6 months, you'll have enough to start your own practice. Like it's not that difficult. If you can't save up 5 to 10%, you really need to take a hard look at your finances.
Yeah, exactly. And I had an epiphany. I told Molly we're going to buy an electric Toyota from the dealer over here. And I had an epiphany. I'm like, you know how much that thing costs? That thing's crazy. We don't need that. And she agreed. And I said, what if instead of getting that, I save this 10%, and invest in ourselves and make something happen with it. She was all on board about that and excited. So that's kind of what did it,
Yep. There you go. That's a smart move. Instead of putting your money into something that doesn't really provide you any value, doesn't appreciate, doesn't bring you to the next level. Instead, you're investing in yourself. You took some courses, you're starting a business. Like, dude, that right there, you're going to turn that $10,000 investment into something that could potentially be worth $1 million.
I'm excited about that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can't make that kind of money. I mean, I could invest it in some long-term stuff, and that's a smart move too, but that's going to be later, I think.
Yeah, that's for more once you have the money, once you start making a lot of money, then you have to start thinking to yourself, how do I preserve my wealth and now have my wealth start working for me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that you kind of address, you cross a little bit later. But once your business, you just have to get your business going, right? You have to generate that income first. It's so important, right? You can't really invest money if you don't have any money. You have to generate that income. Yeah. So you said you're what, 45?
I'll be 45 in September. Yep. I'm 44.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So dude, listen, you start this, and you're smart with it and you really grow and scale it. There is no reason why you couldn't retire at 55 years old, Yeah.
That would be really fantastic. Yeah. 10 years. I think that's like I said, I'm a hard worker, and, I've got some business sense. I think I can make it happen. And this place, like I said, is just, there's nothing. There's no weight loss clinics. There's no men's clinics. There's no specialty clinics. There's no paid, cash practices. It's this place could do. And I have access to, I've looked at the numbers. I think within a 30-mile radius is maybe 100,000 people, something like that, 75,000.
And no competition.
There's none.
Dude, you are sitting on a gold mine. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to kill it. Like you're just going to. Like when I talk to nurse practitioners who are in a situation like this, where they look around, within a 30-minute drive, there's 50,000, 100,000 people and no competition. These are the nurse practitioners that I hear from later on who end up making, getting to a point where they're making $50,000 to $100,000 a month.
Oh yeah, I believe it's possible.
It is.
Yeah, the closest place is 2 hours away. Is Portland.
Oh geez.
So I mean that's or Seattle 4 hours. So there's nothing. There's a few clinics there, but there's nothing out here. It's just a matter of time before somebody does it.
Oh well, you need to get on it then, right? So
yeah, that's why I'm not talking to you.
Yeah. That's like something that you will regret for the rest of your life. I've heard people say this before. Like, I wish I would have just got out of the fear mindset. I wish I would have stopped being so damn scared. I wish I would have started that business because I didn't. And now this person over here did it, and like they're so successful. I could be there. I could be that person instead, So
yeah.
So you just got to.
Yeah, that's a really great. I'm glad you're saying that. I do have fear. There's like the fear of. I mean, if I lost the money, that's fine. I can save up 10% again and save it up again. But it is the fear of like, it's you're telling people I'm going to open a men's clinic, and then if you don't, you kind of fear like what they'll think if you aren't successful. You kind of fear that sort of. But it doesn't really matter what other people think. Like it's just It is fearful. It's scary for sure.
It is. It is, dude. It's terrifying. Your first practice that you open up is a very, very anxiety producing event. Like, like it is. I remember I couldn't tell you how many countless sleepless nights I had during my first year being an entrepreneur. It's just part of it. Expect waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning to go pee and not be able to go back to sleep because you're thinking to yourself, did I pay this bill? Did I pay that bill? Do I need to sign up for this compounding pharmacy? Like things just run through your head. There's always going to be something that needs to be done with the business. A business is never a set it and forget it thing. Okay. Never. So that first year, it will be rough. But once you get through that year and you get your feet wet and you begin realizing that there's really nothing to be truly scared about here, you'll end up sleeping better at night and it won't bother you anymore. So,
okay. That's good to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel then, because from somebody who's been through it.
Yeah, there is, dude. Trust me. Like, I'm 5 years now into my, truly my entrepreneurial journey. And dude, I could go start another business right now and go home and sleep like a baby.
Yeah. You reminded me of my brother. I have a twin brother who started a business in North Africa and, 18 years ago. And he's started another one. He sold that one. He started another one. So like I said, he kind of gives me some, makes me feel like I can accomplish it too.
Yep. Dude, if he can do it, all the other people can do it, you can do it too. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this whole fear of, when do I get started kind of a thing, is I know that you were kind of, saying that before we got started, how do I get started? Like get started, just do it.
Yeah.
You can't become paralyzed with fear. You can't become paralyzed with, this analysis paralysis. Am I doing this right? Am I doing that right?
Oh my gosh, I know. Oh my gosh.
Just start. Dude, you're honestly right now, from what you're telling me, you're ready to go. You have your legal entity. You have all this stuff. You have the services, like what you want to do, get your malpractice policy and get started.
Okay, perfect. That was kind of my question. Was, if I, start with a hybrid model, can I start the telemedicine part before I actually have a bricks and mortar location, lease
going?
Yes,
for sure you can. Absolutely. But I mean, what's preventing you from getting a brick and mortar location sooner than later?
I'm still looking at the locations. I have 3 locations I wanted to ask you about. Okay,
shoot.
Okay. So, the first one location, is in downtown. The town I live in is 10,000 people. It's a cute little downtown. They got some buildings, office space, like old style looking kind of like buildings. And there's some office spaces available. One is about 700 square feet, nice views of the water, $1,100 a month, 700 square feet. It's got a waiting room already. And parking would be a little bit on the street. It can be hard during the tourist season. And there's no signage outside. There are practices there. There's 2 nurses there who have a foot practice and like a chronic pain healing laser type something. I don't quite understand it. Myofascial practice. And there's a bunch of counseling services in that building as well.
Okay, so
that's the first location.
Okay, so just pause right now. Throw it out. Parking situations will become a hassle. Okay. Trust me here. Like, if there's not ample parking, if people are having trouble parking, it will just end up pissing people off. It will just be problematic. You will hear complaints. Well, I don't know if it'll actually prevent people from just like leading you. I mean, once they're established, you're not going to really care that much. But like just walk-in traffic, people want to just come in and ask questions. If they can't find a parking spot, what are they going to do? They're going to just drive off. And if there's no roadside frontage or roadside sign frontage, that could be problematic too. So let's hear the other 2.
Okay, so the second one is there. It's in the same town, in the town I live in, town of 10,000 people. There's piers, right? There's piers out into the water. It's on Pier 1, so it's right just the epicenter of like Washington, the coastal towns down the coast that have like a lot, similar amount of population people. People drive here all the time for services. It has several medical practices in there, counselors. What that I told you about, the only person in town who has the direct primary care concierge practice, he's in there, and there's an office space in there that's very affordable. It's 500 square feet, $800 a month. Easy parking, tons of parking, beautiful views, water facing windows, and the cool thing about this spot is they're building it out right now. They're like, oh, if you want us to put up some walls, let us know now. We can put a couple walls in for you, because it's just an open room right now, about 500 square feet, like I said. And so that's kind of a cool opportunity. And parking's easy, but again, you can have a decal on the window, and people would see that when they're parking there, but people aren't really walking by and like shopping, in this area. It's kind of like on its own.
Okay.
And it's a cool building, like really nice. Like, people know there's medical stuff going on in there. So that's the second location.
Okay. What's about the third?
Yeah. So the third kind of got swiped from me. Somebody got it before I did. This is kind of what I think I should wait for if I'm going to wait. There's a town just across the bridge in Oregon, and it's got Highway 101. It's got roadside visibility. It's got a bunch of Costco's there, Walmart, fast food. There's little stores, all combined next there, real good visibility, 100,000, 15,000 people a day drive by. For this area, that's pretty good. A million people a year go through there. Another bunch of tourists from Portland and stuff are all driving by there. I mean, it's a huge visibility. There are some spaces. They're too big though. I think they're like 2,000, 2,400 square feet, and they kind of get expensive at that price. The place I was looking at was about 1,300 or 1,400 for 800 square feet, 850, and that was the one I missed out on. I didn't get there fast enough, but so that's the third area.
How much is it for 2,000 square feet?
I think it's okay. They do it by the year through this other company. So it was $20 per square foot per year, divided by 12. I think it came to about like $2,500 a month, something like that.
Okay.
For the ones that are available.
Yeah, it's expensive. And it's kind of overkill, but like if the practice becomes busy quickly, then the $2,500 doesn't really become, it's nothing, Yeah, I like that location the best out of what you said.
Really good visibility, easy. You can put a sign up, it's like right near like AAA and shopping,
Costco and all this. Yeah.
Fred Meyer, Costco. It's a busy area.
Yeah. Have you called the property manager, the leasing agents, whatever, and asked if they would subdivide one of those into like 1,000 square feet or anything?
That's an interesting question. I have emailed them all my questions, and they've been really good, but I've not asked them that. No.
Okay. So I would ask them that. Be like, listen, I only need 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. I love this. Can we work something out? Because to them, it's putting a wall up. It's not that big of a deal.
Right. Right.
But these are empty. Like you'd have to build it out.
From what I can tell, I stopped in there and peeked in the windows,
just empty.
Yeah. It's just kind of like open and empty. Just from what I can tell.
Yeah. So, okay. When you start doing a build out, costs go up considerably. Okay.
Yeah.
Your ability to open up one of these little niche practices for $10,000 gets thrown out. Okay.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So, if you follow the model, you always want a low overhead practice, a simple practice, right? That's what you want.
Okay.
If you had $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to put at this, and if you lost it all, it wouldn't really stress you out that much, then I'd say go for it. Build it out. It's a great location. You'll probably make your money back in no time. But this is your first practice. You got a budget of $10,000, $15,000, it sounds like. I don't know if that kind of risk is necessary. And when you're talking about a build out, you're signing a lease for 3 to 5 years. So it just locks you into a considerable amount of risk.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't think that's a good idea. Like, it's a great location. If there was something already built out, 1,000 square feet, I would say jump all over it. Right. But there isn't. Yeah. But my question is there anything else kind of like that? There's gotta be. You only found 3 spots. Surely to God, there's some other spots. All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all elite nurse practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and that other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Well, there are a couple. So there's another building as you're crossing the bridge on the right in the Walgreens shopping center area that has two spots available. I don't know if there's no sign up, but there's paper like in the window, so I can't see inside there. There's like a UPS shipping little store there, and there's like a little Mexican restaurant and stuff like that. So, and there's a gym around the corner that a lot of people use for. There's a fitness center kind of gym, so that would be ideal. I'm still trying to figure out who owns that property because that's I think from what I could tell from the size of the other establishments there, that might be about the right size there too. So that's kind of one spot I've been trying to research.
Okay, so I would say, probably start, keep doing your research. I think that you might be able to find something better. Like, that one that's on the main road that doesn't have great parking, like that sounds like it'd be a pretty good spot. But if there's really no way for people to like drive by and kind of see your sign, it kind of defeats the purpose of being on a main road.
Okay.
Like it kind of just defeats the purpose. Yeah,
it does.
And then the second location, it sounds pretty good. But what worries me is that there's also a cash-based DPC practice in the same building.
Mm-hmm.
And so what worries me about that location is, what if that guy sees what you're doing, sees how busy you're getting, and then decides, hey, wait a second, I could do this too.
Yeah. It's a small town for sure. I mean,
right.
Word is definitely going to be out for sure, especially in the medical community.
Right. And
he's our former like CMO at our hospital.
Okay, got you. Yes, and he sees what you're doing, and it's like in the same building, and he's like, "Who are all these cars? See people going in and out of your office all the time." Like, it's gonna raise his eyebrows. He'll be like, "Hey, wait a second here. Like, maybe I should be doing that." Okay, so you might actually create a competitor out of it. Could that happen? Sure. I mean, would it happen? Probably not. But it's just something that crossed my mind. So yeah. It sounds like you could use that as a backup.
That's a good backup. I have a question for you. So it is a small town and there is no other services like it. So when I get a bricks and mortar, it definitely will pop up on Google, right? It'll definitely be on like the maps and on that, the ad and stuff. And so will that be helpful? Do I need frontage, roadside visibility? If that's the case, that my business, it'll be number one because there is nothing else. You see what I'm saying? Is that
yeah, I mean, right. So my first men's health practice was in kind of a dumpy place, hole in the wall. You couldn't see it from the road, and we still got patients. I was able to scale that thing from $0 to $20,000 a month in, less than six months. Okay. This was back in 2018, 2019. Okay. So I was able to do it. Yeah. I just made it very easy for people to find me online, and I advertise and stuff. Okay. So yes, you can. It can work. You do not need roadside frontage. Okay. You don't. It's not necessary. But if you can find something with it, though, it will increase your patient volume.
Sure.
Yeah. So think about it this way. And I've said this before in a few other podcasts, is that think about the increased cost of a place on a main road that allows you to have a sign, a good sign, not one of those little tiny 3 foot by 2 feet signs that go up on a big giant sign where there's 20 other businesses on it. People can't see that, right? Mm-hmm. An actual sign. If you can spend some more money on something like that, right? Think about that extra cost as more or less part of your marketing budget, because having that main sign out on a main road is essentially free advertising. So if that costs you $500 more a month, that's $500 less that you need to spend on advertising. So it all ends up breaking even at the same, at the end anyways. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. And then you are definitely, your advertising is working, because you don't know if it's going to work on Facebook or Instagram or, Google. It's a solid marketing because it's right there.
Right. Like, yeah, it's pretty hard to mess up a sign on a road. People are driving by, they see it. Like, it's as simple as that. And I will tell you, dude, I get lots of people that could just drive into our men's health clinic because of just the sign on the road. Lots. When we moved from the hole in the wall to the place on the main road with the sign, patient volume increased significantly too. Okay. Yeah. Now, let me give you 2 examples here. So my first men's health practice was in Hole in the Wall. We moved to a location on a main road and it went, and it grew. It grew a lot. All right. Just because people started walking in, asking questions. They saw the name of the practice. They looked it up online. Okay. It's free advertising. And it cost us a whopping extra like $200 or $300 a month. Big deal. Right. Mm-hmm. My second men's health practice is in a little bit more of a hole in the wall area. It's nice. It's a nice office. It's a beautiful office, but it's in more of like a medical park kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. There's no sign on the main road. And that second location has been slower growing compared to my first. So I have to spend more money on advertising and I'm getting less of a return.
Okay.
I'm confident if I moved my second men's health location to something on the main road, we would probably double our patient volume in a matter of 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, that's significant.
Significant. But the problem is where that second men's health location is, there just is no locations on a main road that are available, like ever. And if they are, it's ridiculous, like $7,000 a month or something. I'm not paying that. So anyways, just kind of keep this in mind. It might not be a bad idea for you to keep looking, just going around. Just drive around. Don't rely on what's, listed online. Just drive around. That's the best way to find an office, is just to drive around and look. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. I do. And that's a great, because this is such a small town. A lot of people don't even really, they just advertise with a sign in the window. They don't really advertise any other way. They don't put it online or anything.
Yeah. Well, look on Craigslist, look on Facebook Marketplace, look on those, that's where I found my location, was on Craigslist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Like, you'd be surprised what you might find on like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Like, you'd be surprised.
I'll check it out. Yeah. I do have one question, just maybe before we go to a different topic.
Sure.
Would you say, like, what's a time frame? Like, you start this hybrid model, or the goal to start a hybrid model. And I got a couple patients from starting to roll with the online telehealth part of it. How long would you recommend waiting out for the right space to open up, the right retail space? I mean, like, is there a certain time frame I should say, well, I think it's about time to, is there a patient number maybe? Like, what would you recommend?
Well, it's kind of a difficult question to answer because it really depends on how busy you are. Like, let's say you do this telemedicine, you just advertise locally and you get up to 100 patients in a matter of just a couple months. You're doing very well, with very little, overhead, right?
Right.
But logistically, it becomes more and more difficult when you have a very large telemedicine practice with lots and lots of patients. You have multiple people that are remote talking to each other. It can be it can be difficult to juggle around and keep it operational. So like at that point is when you'd probably want something in person. So you have, multiple medical assistants working for you there. Patients can come in, pick up supplies, pick up meds. They can do injections, et cetera. Okay. You can do in-person stuff, vitamin injections, procedures if you want, other things like that. So it's basically be one of those, like, you're pulling your hair out, it being virtual is just becoming bothersome. You can't open up 100% telemed practice, and it could be, and it can run smooth too. You do and then another scenario would be is that you do 100% telemed, you start advertising in your area, Facebook, Google, et cetera, start getting the word out at gyms and stuff like that. And it's slow going, then it might be, okay, well, people just don't know you exist. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. As I read the book, it's like obscurity, they
right.
They don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know you exist. Like, it might be the most important thing going on in your life. No one else gives a shit. No one knows,
Yeah.
They just don't, right? And
right.
So, that's why it seems so dumb to have a physical location just for that Google business listing. But Google prioritizes local businesses. Okay. So when you look up men's health testosterone and you are located in my area, I will come up before any kind of advertised telemed practice will. Google prioritizes local. They just do, surprisingly enough. Because of those Google business listings. Their algorithm, their search algorithm prioritizes those Google business listings. Okay. But you cannot have a Google business listing without the physical address. Now, some people get away with it. They get like a virtual address, like on iPostal or something like that, and they apply for a Google business listing and they get approved. That is rare, but I have heard from some people who have done that. Okay. But what Google does is that when you create your Google business listing, they send you a postcard with like a little code on it and you have to verify. So they mail it to you and then you have to verify. All right.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And Google's getting smarter about virtual addresses and like they flag things. Like you might apply for a Google business listing and put a virtual address in and it'll just be instantly like not approved because they know it's a virtual address.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the advantage of having a physical location. You have that Google business listing, which automatically puts you on the map and it makes people easy to find you. So for that reason is why I think a hybrid practice is the best model. Plus there are just people who, there are people who just like to shake your hand, you know?
And I get that. And it's also, for me, I feel like it's a good future proofing because you never know. And I might be wrong. I may not be in the know, but I mean, eventually the DEA might make it an in-person visit, required for some of these services.
Right. This thing's, I mean, it's constantly changing, constantly evolving. The regulatory framework is not set in stone. So yes, you're right. There's a risk being 100% telemed when you're prescribing a controlled substance.
Yeah. I think starting out would be fine, but a bricks and mortar and like also getting that Google listing is going to be, I think it's going to be key.
Critically important, especially local. Most people at the end of the day like to stay local. They do. A big corporate telemed thing or corporate office or whatever. Sure, that could work. I mean, obviously it does work, but at the end of the day, a lot of people, they just like local.
Yeah.
I would much rather support a local business than a corporate business personally.
I agree.
Yeah. So, that's one of the other key parts of it. So if I was you, I would really try to hunt down that location. Go ahead and start telemed. Okay. Don't really spend a lot of money advertising or doing anything. Okay. Get your account set up, get the EMR going, get your website up and running, get the basic business done. All your consent forms are uploaded. All your intake forms are uploaded, like everything from the digital aspect of it, the administrative back end, everything is set up. Compounding pharmacy accounts, medical suppliers, et cetera. Like all of it's set up. You could technically see a patient, but you just need a place to see the patient in. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So have that, get that done. You're pretty much there, it sounds like. Just finish it out, get your malpractice, get all that stuff. And then maybe start throwing the word out there, in passing, go to a gym, hand out some flyers, maybe just throw a Google search ad out there just to see what happens. And then while you're doing that, you'll probably get a couple patients trickling. It probably won't be anything crazy. Okay. But you'll get a couple patients trickling in. That'll help you work out any kind of kinks. All right. That'll help you, get the workflow done. Cause I know you were kind of worried about that patient flow.
Yeah.
And so if you start small like that with telemed, you'll figure out that flow. A patient calls or a patient schedules an appointment online. You order the blood work, they get the blood work done. Then you schedule the patient appointment. You see the patient. If it's just virtual telemed, okay, I'm going to schedule you for 2 months for follow-up. Then you go to the compounding pharmacy website, place the order for the med, it gets shipped to them. You know what I mean? Like you figure out that flow versus it just hitting you in the face. If you open up a brick and mortar and you're just like, geez, I got 20 patients scheduled the first week. Holy crap.
Yeah. That's a lot I love that. That's a great idea because that's kind of what I was thinking, just to kind of get things figured out, iron out the kinks and stuff for sure.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with getting started slowly so you can kind of figure out that workflow. Like I can consult with you. I can create a course on patient workflow and, I can write an article about it, but at the end of the day, you just got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. When in that case, I wanted to ask you, so if you do a telemed practice, like just telehealth, just virtually only, how does it work? Because the labs here, I'm connecting with the labs and one of them said, you don't have the patient volume yet to have a kill. So you just need to send us the order and we'll bill the patient or insurance. And, then I know my business then doesn't make money on lab work at that point, and that's fine. But is that kind of how you would recommend starting out? I have an account with Access Pharmacy, but I don't have a bricks and mortar location yet, things like that. Like I have some local labs I'm connecting with.
I got you. So you have the Elite N.P Access discount lab account set up?
I've contacted pretty much everybody on your list there.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, once you start getting busy, use Access, because they charge you can charge the patient whatever you want. And they just bill you the rates that are on that discount lab tab on the main website. Right. And so they bill you $100. You can charge a patient $150, $200, right? You make a little profit. You can still do that telemed. They would just ship the patient out a lab collection kit, and then they would either go to LabCorp or a urgent care or something like that and get it drawn, and then drop it in the mail, and then you get the results typically 24 hours later.
And that's through Access, does that?
That's still through Access, correct. So when I was operating my large telemed HRT practice, where we focus on transgender care, we use Access exclusively, and just the lab kits would get shipped out to their house, and then they would go to LabCorp. It's like a $10, $20 draw fee. They go to LabCorp, get it done, and then LabCorp mails it back to Access, and then you get the results back in, like I said, 24, 48 hours. Super simple.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I didn't know that was an option.
Very easy. You just get in the back end of Access. You put the patient address in. They ship it to them. Nothing to it, man. It's very simple.
Okay, yeah, that's great, because there's like 3 places I found that will we don't have LabCorp, but we have a couple other places, labs.
Yeah. So you can could do that. But setting up an account locally with a Quest or LabCorp or just a local lab or anything like that, yeah, you just have to call the account representative, set up an account. But if you don't have the volume for it, then sure, I get that. You just basically just hand the patient a lab order. You just write it on a prescription pad, just give it to them. They can go wherever they want, and then they bill their insurance. You don't got to fool with it.
Yeah, they sent me the the requisition form that I could just fill out for patients.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, exactly. So you can do most of this telemed without a problem. So I'd say just get started slowly, but try to find that that right location. But I don't want you spending more than 2 to 3 months, man. Like, you have this business set up. You're right there getting started. It's just overcoming that fear and just pulling a trigger and just getting going. But I wouldn't wait more than 2 to 3 months, because the longer you wait, the longer you're just pushing, you're just kicking the can down the road. You're just delaying. So, you might not find that perfect location, but, as long as it's decent, you can get going.
Okay. That does make some sense. Now, I did have a question kind of related, sort of on the same sort of field or kind of criteria or category as the labs. When the patient comes in and you dispense, because we can dispense here, I'm still working out the logistics of that. I do have my dispensing license. When you have a bricks and mortar location and you dispense to the patient, do you just send it, do you primarily send from a compounding pharmacy to the patient's house, or do you dispense from your location from a clinic? So
we used to dispense testosterone.
Yeah.
Like the actual vials, we would buy it in bulk.
Yeah.
And we would just dispense it. Like, you actually have to buy that from like a pharmaceutical distributor. You can't buy it from a compounding pharmacy.
Right. Okay.
So we used to, but the paperwork, keeping track of all the invoices, the documentation the DEA requires, like, it just became a hassle as we got busier. It just started becoming a pain in the ass. So we stopped dispensing controlled substances, but we still dispense non-controlled because that's super easy. All right. There's not really a whole lot of documentation and regulatory stuff you got to worry about like there is with with a controlled substance. So the controlled substances, we just have those shipped to the patient directly from the compounding pharmacy. So that way we don't have to fool with it. But everything else, the non-controlled stuff, we still dispense because the margins are better. Okay,
that does make sense. Now, do people still come to your clinics for in-clinic injections, or is it mostly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd say easily 20-25% of our patients still come in for injections. And that fluctuates. Sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 20%. Patients come and go. It's just part of it. Don't take it personally when a patient just stops showing up and leaves. Like, it just happens, expected. So yeah, somewhere between 10 to 25%. It just really depends. So yeah, a lot of patients still do come in for injections. Your goal, though, and this is for any kind of practice, is to teach the patient how to do it themselves. The last thing you want to be doing is wasting lots of man hours and time giving someone an injection subcutaneous when they can learn how to do it because there's nothing to it. That's vitamin injections, testosterone injections. Like, it doesn't matter. So even the semaglutide, like, teach these people how to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Get them out of your office. It's busy work.
Yeah. Okay. Are you finding, just because we're kind of talking now, I know this is going to be published later, are there shortages from, I'm starting to get sort of these cost sheets worked out. These, kind of keep track of like what it's going to cost me, what I'm going to charge the patient. Are you having trouble getting some things like ACG and semaglutide and things like that for your patients, or is it still possible to get those things?
Yeah, we recorded this early summer of 2023, and it's problematic. Compounding pharmacies are behind. There's shipping delays. There's, supply shortages. Like, it's just part of it. The way you mitigate that is you have accounts with 3 or 4 places.
Okay.
And you have to just order. You can't rely on one pharmacy or one medical supplier or one vendor. That's foolish, right? Multiple accounts, multiple places. One place is out of something, you order it from the other place. You just bounce around. My men's health clinic, we are constantly cycling between 3 or 4 pharmacies. It's just part of it. It's just part of it. It's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Hell, any other questions? You sound like you're pretty much on top of it. You just got to get going.
Yeah. I like you say, and I've read in like multiple books on just like taking action, things will follow once you take action. So I've just been pretty much every day, just always make one phone call, one email, right before we got on this call, I emailed a golf course, just did one thing, to sort of keep things moving and going and just small steps to make this happen, because I'm a busy guy. I got 2 young kids, even though I'm 45, and full-time job, and, house and things. So I just take a little bit every day, and it's all coming together, eventually.
Yay, you're doing the exact thing you need to do, one thing at a time. And before you know it, you have a business, right? Like, you've been doing one thing a day. How long did it take you to complete, to finish this up?
Yeah. Not long at all. Once I really started taking action, a few weeks.
A few weeks.
Yeah.
Right. A few weeks. That's it. Doing one thing a day. That's literally it. One thing a day.
Yeah. I'd study in your courses in the morning about, when I'm working out. And then if I, take a hike or something, or I'm doing chores in the morning, listen to the courses and listening to podcasts and stuff like that. So I fit everything in,
Yeah. See, and you did it. You took action. That's exactly what you need to be doing. And now you just got to take that final action and start seeing patients.
Cool.
Yeah. You're right there, dude. I'm not worried about you at all. You sound like you're fine. Like, you got this.
Yeah. Thank you. I really needed that. I started to, you wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh crap, what do I do? And, you get scared of sudden burst of fear. And then you start listening to your podcast and researching again and writing emails and taking action. You kind of lose that fear.
You lose that fear by taking action. That's exactly right. You just get out there and just do it,
Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to get out of that. You have to get out of your shell. Just that, it's like meeting new friends. It's dating new people. Like, just got to get out there and do it. Once you start doing it, the anxiety and the fear go away. Exactly right. Yeah. So you got this. So
awesome.
Well, cool. You've listened to the podcast before. I like to end the episode with you asking me a question. Is there anything that you're curious about my life or my career or my work or anything?
Yeah. Trying to think. I was trying to think of a really cool question. I mean, I already kind of know what you like to do for activities. We're kind of both outdoors people.
Yep.
I know you had a family started and stuff like that. So like, I guess one question is like, are you still finding, because you have multiple businesses now, and do you still find time to prioritize, time with family and things like that? I know you're probably pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be challenging?
So my son's 6 months old now. And so, by the time this is published, he'll probably be like 9 months. But he's 6 months. And so, I look at him and the time I have with him, and I think back to myself, would I've been as present as I am now 3 or 4 years ago? Like 3 or 4 years ago, I was juggling my men's health clinic, my medical cannabis clinic, my online HRT, transgender practice. I was starting Elite NP. I was buying some rental real estate. I was working almost full time in an urgent care. Like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way I'd have been able to do all that and be present. Impossible. But now that I've scaled back, right? So I started all those businesses. I've sold some of those businesses. I've closed down a business. I've narrowed down my, to really just 2 or 3 focuses now. And so I built this up over 4 or 5 years. And so most of my businesses now work for me. And so now I have that time to truly be present, spend time with them, with my wife and my son. It was a work in progress, but in your situation, your kids sound like they're probably a little bit older.
4 and 8. Yeah.
4 and 8. Okay. So you don't, So, I mean, you still want to be a present dad, right? But it's probably going to be tough for you for the next 6 to 12 months. It will, but the light at the end of the tunnel though is that once that business starts becoming successful, starts working for you more, you'll be able to cut back at the urgent care and spend more time on your practice, which ultimately will increase your income and it'll give you back more time.
Right. That's kind of my that's my plan. The urgent care doesn't know that, but that's my plan, is to kind of scale back a little bit slowly. Now I'll probably get up the medical director stuff soon. They have somebody else that might be interested and kind of scale back there, and I'll have more, because I'm pretty busy with that. And then slowly I'll have way more time then for sure working on this and keeping things going and building it up, going part-time, kind of like you did.
Yep. Dude, you'll be able to get there in a year. I guarantee you. You got no competition. Like, sky's the limit here for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Well, this was a great episode, man. I appreciate your time hopping on here, and please reach out to me 6 months from now. I really would love to do a follow up and see how things are going.
Absolutely, I can't wait. That'll be really exciting. See where I'm at and see. Yeah, I'll take your advice and put it into action.
Awesome, cool deal, man. Well, I appreciate your time and good luck.
Hey, thanks a lot, Justin. I appreciate your time too.
All right, no problem. Take care. Bye.
Thanks.
All right, I hope everyone enjoyed the episode with Terry. It was a pretty solid one. We haven't really talked about specifics on finding that perfect location. So, his situation is that he's in the startup phase, right? He has the basic business set up, right? Like the PLLC, the accounts with the pharmacies, the EMR, the website, all that stuff. He has all that stuff set up. So now it's just basically executing and seeing patients, right? So it's not a bad idea to start telemed while finding that perfect location, okay? You really got to find that perfect location. Hybrid practices are the best practices in my opinion. I feel like that your patient volume will be higher in a hybrid practice than a telemed only practice. There are some people who do telemed only and kill it, right? I'm not saying that, this is the exclusion, but yeah, a hybrid practice works best. And so I think that him slowly kind of finding that spot while doing telemed for 2 to 3 months, I think that's a good strategy. Don't settle on the first location you see. Don't be emotional about this, like I talked about in the last episode, okay? Do not let your emotions make business decisions for you. Be objective, be quantitative about the decisions that you make. Finding a location should be an objective thing. Is there parking? Is there roadside sign frontage? How much is this? Do I have room to grow? Right? There's lots of considerations to have when opening up your practice or even opening up a second location or expanding, okay? Really be thinking about that. All right, hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.